How do raters assess source use in integrated writing tasks? A recent journal article published in Assessing Writing entitled Assessing Source Use, Summary versus Reading to Write Argumentative Essay by Dr. Xiaqin addressed this question. Integrated writing, also known as source-based writing or writing from sources, is a fundamental academic literacy skill essential for success in higher education. It requires the writers to select, reorganize, connect, and synthesize information from multiple sources to create new meanings and generate new texts. Due to its importance, integrated writing has been incorporated into international language proficiency tests, such as TOEFL IBT, Pearson Test of English, and local tests such as Hong Kong Diploma of Secondary Education, and the General English Proficiency Test in Taiwan, in order to enhance test validity. How to use sources is an essential component of integrated writing. Recognizing the importance of this construct, the academic and testing communities now focused on how best to assess it. In existing tests of integrated writing, the source use construct has been operationalized as an additional criterion alongside other criteria for language use and discourse features. Source use is operationalized in terms of source idea representation, integration of ideas from different sources, and source language transformation, or the lack of transformation. In general, source use is assessed in terms of source idea representation and source language use. Among existing research into integrated writing, raters and their rating processes and consistency remain under-researched. In response to this research gap, Dr. Xiaqin from the Education University of Hong Kong investigated rater and their rating process when marking the responses to 2 integrated writing tasks. This research recruited 204 undergraduates from 3 Hong Kong universities as research participants. They all received 30-minute training to respond to the 2 integrated writing tasks. Task 1 demands a concise summary of 2 source texts within 30 minutes. For the second task, the participants read another 3 texts on the same topic. They were required to write an argumentative essay based on all 5 texts in 225 to 500 words and 60 minutes. The writing samples were marked against 2 sets of rubrics adapted from existing ones reviewed earlier, in particular from Yang, 2014, and Plakins, 2009. The rubrics for the summary task contained 8 criteria which assess source use, coherence and cohesion, and language use. The rubrics for the second task contained 14 criteria, among which EC 1 to 5 were concerned with source ideas and EC 14 concerned source language. The criteria were scaled at 5 levels to assess valid responses. 3 raters, pseudonamed Irene and Jess, marked the written samples. Irene and double-marked all written samples, while Jess contributed to the marking summaries. 5 meetings were held with the raters to ensure the rater reliability and validity. Before each meeting, the raters marked 5 to 10 samples independently. During the meeting, the researcher and the raters discussed the differences in their marking and refined the rubrics of marking to enhance clarity. Following the extensive training and standardization, the 3 raters marked the samples independently in 5 batches. Raw scores produced by the raters were processed by a multi-facet Rasch measurement analysis, which could reveal layers of the rating process to understand how the raters assessed different aspects of the source use construct. For instance, raters' own consistency could be examined through the infit and outfit statistics of the rater facet. The ratio between observed and expected rater agreement could reveal inter-rater consistency. In addition, scale structure, probability curves, and diagnostic statistics can provide insights as how raters use the levels for each criterion on the rubrics. Looking at the scale structure, curves found SC3 and SC4 could be optimized to have fewer levels on their scale, because the hills on both scales were not as distinct as the other, indicating that the differences among adjacent levels were too small and raters could not differentiate them. In a nutshell, the research turned out three most noteworthy findings. The first significance finding is the research supported the validity of the two integrated writing tasks in assessing source use, because of the high correlation between the source use construct and the overall performance. Second, because the two tasks have small correlations, the study verified the source use constructs underlying the two tasks were statistically distinct. Therefore, the two tasks are not interchangeable but complementary to each other. Future assessment of integrated writing should consider to have both type of tasks. Third, existing rubrics adopted to assess the source use construct tend to have 4 to 5 levels. This research suggests fewer levels should be adopted.